We're already live.
Okay.
Yeah, I think realistically, that's probably how
Yeah.
Hello, hey, how are you?
Hello, everyone.
I see if I zoom in your mic quick.
Thanks, sir.
We're live.
Ms. Amos is not going to be here. Okay, I'll call the September work session to order. Welcome, everyone. Madam Clerk, would you kindly call the roll?
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Hunter?
Here.
Mr. Benson?
Here.
Mr. Parrott?
Here.
Mr. Dwyer?
Here.
Mr. Reed?
Here.
And Ms. Amos?
All right. The first item on the agenda is to discuss a discussion of the annual fall cleanup campaign. Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir, Mayor, members of council, the Public Works Department is ready and able and willing to do the fall cleanup. I know we did not do spring because we weren't sure of how, of the virus and things like that, but we have a plan in place. So any type of personal material other than its bag, like let's say a mattress or furniture, we won't be picking it up by hand. We would use some type of equipment to put it in the back of the truck and things like that. So it may be more than a day, that day of, depending on what it is, for us to get it all up. But we are willing to do, if you all are okay with it, for the third Monday in October. We'll do our fall cleanup as usual.
Anybody have any objections or concerns? Okay, proceed. Veterans Day program at Crude Stage.
Obviously, that's a little ways away. Some of these on the agenda are a little ways away, but I wanted to get it at a work session in front of you so that you have some time to make the decision and people that take part in these activities. The Veterans Day program is obviously held on Veterans Day at Crude Stage, and I don't know how many years now, but for as long as the 3 years I've been here, Fuqua School has put on a Veterans Day program, and then I think there's also one at the county at the courthouse as well that's done. But this is just the one at Crude Stage. We were asked whether they would be able to do the Veterans Day program. Under the current ordinance, you couldn't have more than 50. Obviously, that expires October the 12th, so we don't know if you're going to extend that or not. That plays a part. Obviously, I expressed to them everybody would have to be in a face covering. We would have to be 6 feet socially distanced, especially the chairs as well. I do think, in my opinion, I think that is a celebration that we should be celebrating our veterans. But I think we should do it in a way that we feel that we're able to do. But I wanted to bring that to y'all's attention. Not looking for a decision today. We can, but they will need to prepare if they're going to do some type of program like they normally do with music that the kids are playing instruments and those types of things.
You know, I agree with you. I think the veterans program is very important. I also think if the ordinance is extended, they have to abide by 50 people. I don't think that we can make an exception. It's got to be 50 people. And I do think if Longwood is still in session, the odds of that being extended are pretty good. So you might relay to them that, Longwood is still here. And hopefully they will be. I see JV went home yesterday. But hopefully Longwood will still be here. And so we probably will have to extend that ordinance, and they will have to abide by 50 person.
And I don't think, I mean, in that 50 person, we will have to help enforce that because, I mean, we have regular citizens that come for that. And that they're not really in charge of. They just do the production of the program. We've kind of just left it open from a town perspective of whoever wants to come. So that's, I guess what I'm saying is some of that's going to be on our part as well, I think, to help.
I'm fully supportive of the veterans, but I don't think we can, I think we have, if the ordinance is in place, we have to abide by it. What's the,
Can they limit their program, you said they're gonna have a band, just making their limits, just a speaker, because the band just left anymore.
Yeah, that's good to say.
they're gonna have to curtail.
That's good people right there.
So I can share with the person that has asked that question and see if they're willing to even, do something that's a little different.
Yeah. But they just need to understand that they'll have to abide by that if it's in place. Okay, discussion of the amended parade permit.
At the Finance Committee meeting last week, I brought before them a Finance and Ordinance Committee meeting, amended parade and procession and events ordinance that changed some of the current language, but also added additional language based on some of the, it was outdated and some of the things that we've had occur recently, demonstrations and those types of things, that it didn't specifically cover in depth that we needed. Since that meeting, in that committee, I believe, was going to recommend that to the council. The only other change that the chief and I have talked about since then is in the permit itself now, and we think we need to put it in the ordinance, is we currently say on the permit that you need to have 30 days notice prior to the event. That's good for the parade so that we can prepare, but for a demonstration, that's not really feasible. And we think there should be some language in there of 30 days for a parade and all other events, 3 business days prior to get approval. So that's the only amendment that we would make to what you see now, is we've thought about that and looking at the permit process, it has some language, and we do need some time to prepare and also turn this permit over. And there's a little more planning, as you can imagine, for some type of parade that's going to happen on Main Street, like the Christmas parade, those types of things. So the 30 days is good for that, but for a demonstration, a protest, those types of events, I think 3 business days is doable.
I think it's critical you add the word business because of the fact if they applied on Friday, they could possibly want to try to do it on Monday, which would give you no time to get prepared at all.
Right.
You feel like 3 business days is enough time for you, Andy?
So what we would do is if everybody's okay with this, we have to have a public hearing. We would have that at our October meeting, and you would hear from the public on an amended ordinance, and then you could adopt or not adopt it. I just brought it for discussion purposes for today.
Any questions? Comments? So you want to get it ready for us for next week?
No, I can't do the public hearing notice. Okay.
You want to get a clean copy with all the amendments, including the 3-day for next week?
Oh, yes, we can do that.
And then we can vote to have the public hearing in October.
Technically you don't have to vote to have a public hearing. It's mandatory to change the law.
All right. Anything else? Item 6, discussion of the annual Halloween parade.
That's another one, obviously I mentioned. We traditionally have gotten businesses to sponsor. We would be behind on that a little bit and participate. It's about 2 months away, or a little less than 2 months. If the current temporary ordinance is in place, that can't occur, obviously, because of the amount of people it draws. I'm aware of that. Just wanting to let you know that we're thinking of these things ahead of time, of that ordinance would affect that event for us. The other thing that's been asked on some community calls that I've been on is is the town planning to cancel Halloween trick-or-treat? And that's a question, we have it set and when it is and the time frames. To me, I don't think that is a gathering of any type. I think that is people going door to door for trick-or-treating. And if your light's not on, then you don't answer the door and give out candy. But I don't know that you want to cancel Halloween. I think that should be somewhat of a decision for the parents of the children. That's up to you all.
Get back to the Halloween parade, actually, the governor's 250 ordinance would apply there as well, because there's more than 250 people down here, so it's not just our 50, it's the executive order that's not coming into play for the Halloween gathering. And I feel like there will be some guidance probably from the state level on Halloween as well. I think there probably be some forthcoming depending on what the numbers are.
That's just something to think about. That's what I'm bringing to you ahead of time.
Any discussion?
No, because I guess, like you said, it's nothing for us to put out there unless we plan on canceling it, instead to wait for the governor to come out with something to make it more feasible.
And I think you probably will sometimes.
I'm sure he will.
Okay, item 7. You're in the parade mood today. Discussion of the volunteer fire department 150th anniversary parade.
These are all events that were on the calendar previously and everything else, so I might as well get them out in the open. The formal volunteer fire department will be celebrating 150 years. So they were looking to have an anniversary parade where they would have their apparatus and other departments and sharing of their 150th anniversary, which is a big deal, obviously, to have a department celebrating that amount of years of being of service to the community. And their goal was to have a parade on October the 18th, which is a Sunday, which would be similar to the Christmas parade. They would start at one point and end at the other down Main Street. However, that's going to bring people to the parade to see it. And their goal was to have a celebration gathering for them to have food and those types of things. Socially distanced at the Fireman Sports Arena. Obviously, we're not doing anything at our facilities at this point in time, but wanted to bring that to your attention, that would have to potentially be canceled as well. Unless, if y'all have any other.
And there have been many events and many special anniversaries canceled this year, so the odds are that being the same thing. Anything else?
No, sir. Other than the closing meeting.
Taylor, do you have anything before we go into closed session?
Just a couple things. Finance Committee's trying to work on a few reports. You've got some in front of you. One of the big things we talked about doing in the budget is making sure that we monitor some of our variable revenue items. So the variable revenue, if you see, we've got sales tax, food tax, and lodging tax. Good news is for the first 2 months, we're about $45,000 ahead of budget. in that respect. Lodging tax is down a little bit in budget, but meals tax is certainly above 40,000 above what we anticipated. So that's a good 2-month start to that budget process. The other ones are some graphs that we're kind of playing with. Percent of general fund and revenue. This is based upon the budget and it's a percentage. Each month you get 1/12 of the budget, and which is about 8.3%. So I guess the big question as you look at these, you have input. If you'd rather see dollars versus percent of budget, that to me it's easier to see if we were supposed to spend $100,000 and we spent $125,000, it tells me what we're over budget or under budget in that respect. But it's designed to give you a real quick view of some of the major areas that we want to monitor a little closely. And if you have any that you'd like to monitor, please let us know and we'll begin to get these reports. Our goal is particularly this variable report, is to get this to you for work session so that you'll have the prior month's numbers on work session for these 3 variable expenses. And then as others come into play, like real estate tax and vehicle tax, we'll add that to the list when those are due and we start getting that money in. Do you have anything to add to that, Scott?
No, and the other thing I would just like to request is how much detail do you want? In other words, if you look at the one that has the percentages, the bar charts, do you want to know all the classifications of revenues, or do you just want to know what it is in each fund? Do you want it broken out in detail for the council, or do you want just what it is? Like, do you want the general fund broken out into all the different areas revenues generated in, or do you just want what is the full?
Yeah, my thought process on this is you take a look at the funds, take a look at the general fund expenses. And if the expenses, the controllable expenses, now we've got some grants and things in there we don't want to include, but if the controllable expenses are within budget, then what I'm asking is that if there's any one particular item that might be out of whack, significantly out of whack, say 5% of what we expected, then there would be a note down there. So what we're really looking for is a high-level report that says the general fund, we're within budget or we're slightly over budget and why, same thing with revenues. And again, it just gives you a quick view, and if, the Finance Committee will certainly take a look month to month on the detail and make sure that if there's anything that we feel like is, kind of out of whack in respect is to bring that to your attention also. So what we really want to do is take that long financial report that you get each month and be able to give you something that's a quick reference that you can see what's going on, that gives you the knowledge, and particularly if we have to appropriate anything to know if we actually are generating the revenue to pay for it. These are a work in progress, but this is kind of some of the ideas that we're trying to look at to get you some different reporting.
Do you think it would be beneficial to you as far as if it was broken out better in detail? And I know that's a lot of work, but would it help you, say, for instance, and I'm just throwing random things, I say grass cutting is a whole lot less than what they anticipated, but yet street maintenance is higher, to where you could possibly see that you might have excess revenue in one place that you could share in another if need be. Would that help you any, or?
Yeah, that would be that. If someone, if we set 5% as the variable, whether it's 5% under budget or 5% over budget, that would be something we want to have an explanation on. And each one would be a little bit different. I mean, you could be 50% over budget and it's only a $1,000 project. But if you're 50% over budget and it's a $100,000 project, that's significant. So I need to take a look at the reports and really see what's significant that we need to be able to point out to you. Instead of, let's say, what we're trying to do is avoid having to go through those multi-page reports and try to figure out something, and we look at it for you and then let you know what the cause of the variance is. The goal here is to get you financial reports that you feel like you have enough knowledge base to good sound financial decisions.
You know, this is all based on the budget, which is great, particularly food tax, Madam Treasurer. July and August is 395,000. Do you know how that compares to the same period last year?
As far as for this month, for your meals, we are only down like 8% from this time last year. And dollar-wise, we're talking about like 17,000.
So that's what I was curious. We're only down like $17,000 in meals tax from same period last year.
We can
As
add,
far as-
But that's why we budgeted 12% less than.
Yeah, I knew that we budgeted less because of the environment we're in, but I was just curious as to, well,
it would be easy to put in last year's numbers to show, where we're tracking.
we're above budget, but we reduced the budget.
Yeah, we're still below what we traditionally are running, what we were running prior to COVID. We can add, that's not a problem to add that, that's really easy to pick up too.
But I mean, really $17,000 is not bad at all.
Once we get this together, it's just a matter of plugging numbers in and the spreadsheet can pull it out.
That's kind of surprising, actually, that it's only.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly some positive numbers for us, for the meals and lodging tax.
Lodging is probably a different story, right?
Yeah.
Yes, lodging is down 34%,
Lodging,
18,000.
Mhm.
18,000 down is still not too awfully bad, considering. Okay. It might be good if you could add that
Sure.
comparing in there.
And just one other comment, I was glad to get the information from the detention center saying that they don't have any more cases at the end of July. I would recommend, based upon kind of things that have come out of this process and the fact that we are a contract of the federal government, I think council needs to have a little bit more communication with the ICE facility, ICA, than what we've had in the past. Whether that's, we want to put it in a committee and how frequently we'd like to have some reports and know what's going on. So, ultimately it's our responsibility to make sure that our subcontractors are fulfilling the obligations of the contract that we signed.
Okay. We can look at that, and Scott and I can have some conversation to figure out which is the best way, whether it's a committee or whether you as the town manager meet monthly or, we'll figure out how to go forward with that and get more information for council.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes. We had another CARES committee meeting last night. I'm going to give this to the town manager to give everybody a copy to see what was approved from the county to go forward. Y'all can glance at it now. But the last thing, Scott, you put in for, I think the total was $14,215.08. All that got moved forward last night as well, so you can give everybody a copy of that to see what we probably will get reimbursed on, what you had submitted. Also, there's a couple other things I would like to give you in reference to things we haven't put in for that I know the county did and they're getting reimbursed on. All right,
Yes, sir.
that's all I have with it until next Wednesday.
Any questions? Anybody else have anything?
Oh, the last thing, I'm sorry. And I know it's been put out there, but the committee wanted to know if it's possible for the town to put out for the town businesses in reference to the funds that are available for the businesses. The county has put it out, but local businesses from the town, even though they know about it, would like to see something put out from the town.
If they can provide us something, we'll be happy to put it out.
If you can get in contact with Sarah, she'd be glad to give you what's available so we can move it forward. So since it's considered a joint effort, even though the funds are coming to them, they consider it a joint effort. They would like for us to put something out so we, for the local business or what have you.
Yeah, all they have to do is ask, we'd be happy to.
Yeah. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
I
session.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Farmville Town Council convene a closed meeting pursuant to the Code of Virginia in accordance with the provisions of paragraph A.1 of section 2.2-3711 for discussion of the clerk of council position, and paragraph A3 of section 22-3711 for discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose, or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. We'll go to the EFC change.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you're not making this. I guess I should. Should say it means I actually tried.
Oh, you haven't tried it, that's what, excellent.
Give her a copy of this.
Oh, no, it's over here, so Mr. Reed has it.
Yeah, I just got it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not multiple copies.
I know, I need you
Oh,
to send it
I'll
out
send it out.
by email once you get it.
You gonna send it out?
Yes, sir.
Whereas the Farmville Town Council has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Farmville Town Council that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Farmville Town Council hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Farmville Town Council.
Second.
Motion second, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, meeting adjourned.